View this email in your browser. Dear friend, the great Billie Jean King is the co-chair of our tennis benefit at the US Open on Tuesday, August 27th, and this year she will present our honorary award to US Open, Wimbledon, and Australian Open champion, Lindsay Davenport.
Oh, we type it. Sorry, guys.
I'm going to show you the easiest way for a crocheter to learn how to knit. Actually, I think this is the easiest way to learn how to knit, hands down. So if you've ever wanted to try it, then definitely try out the Norwegian style of knitting. So in today's video, we're going to be using a category 4 weight. This is a worsted weight yarn available at extraknits.com, and it's all hand dyed. And then we have the recommended needle size, which is a 5mm. These are circular needles. This brand is Lantern Moon. I love these circular needles, but they are really pricey, but they are also incredibly awesome, and it makes the knitting experience so much nicer. Okay, so in order to estimate how much we need for our long tail, we're gonna do like a 4-inch swatch, let's say. So we need to times that by 3. So here we're just giving an estimate because it's just a swatch. So here we have what we're going to knit, right? So you're gonna times that by 3, so 2.
Steven here says, I'm so glad I didn't skip that YouTube ad because my last check from Audible was life-changing. My name is Christian Mickelson, and we help everyday people grow their income with this one simple method. And we're pretty darn good at it. Our company, Publishing.com, was named the 19th fastest growing.
And then 3. And that's how long we're going to need for our little swatch that we're making. So we're going to start with a slip knot, and this is how I do my slip knots, but there's a million different ways to do them. So I take and I twist it around my needle, I pinch it, yarn over, and pinch, and then pull through that little hole that we've made. And you're just gonna snug it down, not too tight. You don't want your cast on stitches to be too tight because it makes it impossible to knit them.
You never want it to be too tight
because
then you can't move the needle around, and it's harder for you.
Okay, so to begin, we're going to have our long tail to one side and the yarn attached to the ball still over in the other direction. And we're going to make like a slingshot with our finger, just like that. And you're going to take your needle, you go up along your thumb, and then wrap around the yarn from your pointy finger and bring it through the hole that you made on your thumb. And just snug it up, but not too tight. You want to keep it looser. So again, we're going to take our needle, wrap it, slide it in between our thumb and through that hole, just like that. You can see that? And then wrap around that yarn from our pointy finger and bring it through the hole that we created on our thumb. Just like that. And again, and we're going to repeat this process until we've casted on the recommended amount of stitches, but in this case it's just a demo, so it doesn't really matter. Again, slip, or a slingshot rather, and then you're going to wrap it around your thumb just a little bit. Needle goes through that loop on your thumb that you've created, wrap around from your pointy finger and bring it through the loop that you created on your thumb. Okay? And again, I'm trying to go slow for you. So it looks like that, right? And then wrap it around and bring it through. Just like that. So I'm gonna make some quicker stitches here for us. And by all means, you can slow down the video. YouTube has a really cool feature now where you can actually like slow-mo the video if you need to. Even if I was going too fast as I was like showing you there, you can totally slow it down or rewatch it. Like there's some stitches that I've had to rewatch like a million times in order to get. No shame in doing that. I think the long tail cast on took me the longest to learn when I first started knitting, so no shame there. I'm going to keep on casting on until we have about 6 inches of our tail left. You want to make sure that you have enough tail that you can weave in your ends when you're done your knitting. So I'll just do one more stitch there. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is put that into our left hand, take the needle from our right hand, and we're going to start knitting. And this is the Norwegian style of knitting, and I love this style because I can work with, I'm a closed hand knitter. So with regular continental, you usually have the yarn way out here, and I find that that hurts my hands and cramps my hands after a while. So in this style of knitting, I like because I can keep everything nice and tight. And I like that because that's the way I crochet as well. So you're going to insert, let's see if I can bring it up here. You know what? I'm going to make it, there we go. Okay, so you're going to insert your needle from the front to the back, just like that. And the way that I hold my yarn is just like this. So I'm actually just picking the yarn off of my finger. I'm going to tighten this up a little bit. I'm going to pick that yarn off of my finger and bring it through. Oops, I just split my yarn there. Bring it through the hole and off of your needle. So the first,
And just so that you know, I have figured out the chat. So I can now read your chat. You can chat with me. That'll be cool.
stitch is always the most difficult. I know I'm fumbling because I'm going to tighten this up a little bit for us. All right. Okay. So again, you're inserting your needle just like that.
For work, play, and every day, upgrade with over 1 million parts and accessories and bring your truck to life. Real truck.
Reveal your light. New Elixir Ultime. The iconic hair oil, now refillable. Unforgettable shine. New Elixir Ultime. The shine of an icon. Castas.
Okay. And you're going to pick the yarn off of your pointy finger and bring it through the stitch. I love this style of knitting because in continental, like you would have it way out here and it just feels really alien to me. And honestly, I originally was a Russian style knitter, which all the work is in the back. So I retaught myself how to knit the Norwegian style and I find it the easiest. So again, you're going to insert.
I've always thought that knitting was beautiful, but I find that crocheting my thing easier. You can do more things other than the basic purl and stitch. I think there's only two. It's one way or the reverse of it, and basically that's it. But I love watching it. It's beautiful.
And pick it off of your finger, just like that. And you can get clipping at a really good speed by doing this. The cast on stitches are usually the hardest to knit because they are a little bit tighter. So yeah, so you're just picking it off of your finger like that. And I love it because it does not, I can knit for a really, oops, I'm splitting the yarn again. I'm doing a video, of course, so. I find that this does, I can knit for a really long time and it not hurt my finger. So the way that you want to hold it is kind of like that.
I am on my third scarf, and actually my fourth scarf since the last time, and yeah. I'm really testing the audio right now, so thank you for bearing with me.
This is the easiest to learn because I've retrained myself. I was a Russian and like an Eastern knitter. There's a Western, this is Western, and then there's an Eastern style. And I found for pattern design it was really difficult because all of the patterns are written Western. So I retaught myself, and this is the easiest way to learn how to knit. And it doesn't hurt your hands like some other techniques do, which is really nice. So we're just going to get to the end of the row here, and we're just picking that yarn up. And it might feel really weird at first. Just practice, give yourself some grace, and just
Practice everything, and please pardon me, I gotta skip commercial somewhere else.
Practice. And literally you can just learn how to knit by practicing doing this. And I suggest like a scarf or even a dishcloth or something really easy to start out with, and you can just do the knit stitch. You don't even have to worry about purling at all, but I will show you how to purl in the next row here. See how nice that is? Like it's relaxing.
The best, easiest shape to make is the square. You can make it by knitting, or you can make it like a chain. But yeah, the chain is usually the beginning. Oh, look at that, another commercial. Please hold.
And I like it because I can.
And I'm gonna
like I find that it's really nice to hold my work this way. Like I said, I'm a closed hand knitter, and oops. Splitting my yarn and everything. Okay, so we have officially knit our first row. Isn't that pretty? So you're gonna flip it, and your work goes over to your left hand. You have an empty needle in your right, and now we are going to purl. So this first stitch is super difficult, I'm not gonna lie. So, and it's true for, you know, any first stitch. So what you want to do for the Norwegian purl is you're going to insert your needle in front of the so you're unlike a regular knitting technique, I guess. You don't have to bring the yarn to the front of the work when you're doing a Norwegian purl. That's why I love Norwegian purling. It's like a dance that you do. So you're going to have your yarn in the back just like this. You're going to make sure that your needle goes underneath here and through your stitch. And like I said, the first one, you're going to twist it around. You're going to pick up that yarn. You're going to bring it back and off the needle, just like that. Okay, the first one is always difficult, like I said, so we're going to do that a few times. Okay, so now that we've done that first stitch, the awkward first stitch, you're going to be holding the yarn in the back still. You're going to make sure that your needle goes underneath it, but not around it. So just over top like that, into the stitch. You're going to hold it and pinch it like that, twist it around, grab that yarn, bring it back to the front of the work, and through the stitch, and let go. You know, you've completed that stitch. Cool, hey? So again, like that, wrap it around. It's like a dance. Once you get good at this, it is like so much fun. Okay, so I'm holding it like that so you can see where it goes. I'm trying to go really slow for you. Okay, so again, hold it, wrap it around. It's like a dance when you get going. Okay, so do you see what's happened in there? You bring it up through that stitch like that, and that's a completed purl. Neat, hey? So you never have to bring your yarn to the front of the work ever again. Isn't that awesome? I love purling this way. It's like when you get going on it, it's like a dance that your needles do, and it feels just so cool. I love purling. When before I didn't like purling as much, but now I'm like so in love with it because it's a lot of fun. Okay, so again, you're gonna hold your yarn over your finger like that. Make sure that you don't want to go over top. You want to go under not wrap it around, through that stitch, do your dance, pick up that yarn, bring it back to the front, and through that stitch, like that. And then take that yarn and push it off. Okay? Feels weird to do it this slow, but I'm gonna make sure that I can show you the best way, because this stitch took me a while to like get it down, because it's weird, right? So again, bring it around, come through, and once you get going, it's the funnest thing, I promise you. And you're not having to bring that yarn in the front anymore, like a regular purl stitch. Like, I love purling now. Actually, you got the hang of it. At first, like, you might get so frustrated, but just hang tight, keep practicing, because once you get it, you're gonna love it. It's just gonna be the funnest thing ever. And the more you do it, the better you are at it, and you can fly. You can fly with it.
You get faster with time.
And I love that you can just pick the yarn off of your fingers. Like, it's not way out there like a regular continental knitting. I could not get continental, and I can't get English either. I don't know what it is, but that's why I was a Russian knitter forever. But now that I'm designing patterns, I find it really difficult to design. Oops, I find it really difficult to design Western patterns while I'm an Eastern knitter. So that's why I retaught myself with the Norwegian knitting, and I'm so glad I did. I just really, really, really enjoy it now. So yeah, having focusing problems, I see that. But okay. Our last stitch, our last purl stitch. So we're holding our yarn like that. We're going underneath the yarn and through that stitch. We do our little dance. We bring it to the back, rub it around, bring it to the front, and we're going to bring it through that stitch just like that. And now we're done. Now we're done. Cool, hey? And then you would just go to the other side and start your knitting. So we're doing a stockinette, and a stockinette stitch is knitting one row and then purling the next row. And then you get something that looks like this. This is called a stockinette. And that's how you get that. And if you wanted just the garter stitch, then you would just do knitting on both rows. And then you would get a garter stitch, a simple knit stitch, right? So yeah, that is it. That is how you would knit. And you just keep on continuing, altering rows, and then you get this beautiful stockinette. And stockinette is so standard. You will find it in so many patterns. It's definitely something that you want to learn. It's the base technique. All right, so now I'm going to show you how to bind off. And we're going to bind off on the right side, so the knit side. You're going to knit your stitch like you would normally. And then you're going to take this back stitch.
Sorry, I have to tell everybody that
Just
we're
like that.
live.
You're going to continue this process until
Don't wanna watch.
all of your stitches bound off. Okay, so just continue just like that. I'll go a little slower here. So just a knit stitch like that, and then take your back stitch and slip it over your front stitch. And you just continue until you get to the very end of the row. That is it. That concludes our Norwegian knitting tutorial. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer them. You can find me at hfnyknits.com, and my email. My name is Carmen from New Leaf Designs, and in this tutorial video I am going to show you how to knit toe-up socks from start to finish. These are the classic New Leaf socks. It's my newest pattern, but also in a way it's my oldest pattern, because this is just my favorite sock recipe. I've been knitting socks for 10 years. I've perfected it along the way, and this is the result. I just absolutely love it. So in this tutorial video, we will be casting on for the toe with Judy's Magic Cast On. Then I'll show you how to increase, how to change color here. Then we're knitting to the heel. I'm going to show you how to knit the heel. It's a German shorter heel. Then I'm going to show you how to pick up stitches here to prevent any gaps. Then we're going to knit up, and then we're going to do the cuff and end with a very nice and stretchy bind off. That is what you will see in this tutorial video. The yarn that I am using is Scapious Metropolis. Scapious Metropolis is a wonderful sock yarn. This is perhaps my all-time favorite yarn. It is 75% merino, 25% nylon, and it is that perfect sock weight of 200 meters per 50 grams. And I'm using this yarn for the solid colored parts of the sock. And for the stripy part of the sock, I am using Scapious Downtown, which is a really fun self-striping sock yarn. It's got the same content, so it's also 75% merino and 25% nylon. It also has 200 meters per 50 grams, and it's just really, really fun to knit up these socks with self-striping yarn, and you just see the color changing, and it's really, really entertaining. I highly recommend using Scapious Downtown, this self-striping yarn, for especially for beginner sock knitters, because you just need a little bit more entertainment to see it through to the end. But I believe in you, you can do this. This pattern is totally
totally suitable for beginner sock knitters. We will get there. So the pattern, the classic new leaf socks pattern, you can find it for free on my website. I will link it down below. You can also purchase the PDF version in my shops if you'd rather have a printable version that you can have right next to you. The pattern is available for 6 different adult foot sizes, and you can get it down below. Needle wise, you will need circular needles. I recommend 2.25 millimeter size and 80 centimeter length. You could also use double pointed needles, also called DPNs. I will not show you in the video how to do that, but it will you will have some written instructions in the pattern for the places where it differs. It doesn't differ a lot, so don't worry about it. If you're an experienced sock knitter and if you're looking for a challenge, then you can also choose for the 2 at a time option. I will have a specific tutorial video for this where I am knitting 2 socks at a time, and you can learn how to knit 2 socks at a time. I'm using the same size needle, just a bit longer, using 100 centimeter cord instead of 80 centimeters. 100 centimeter cord is also totally suitable for just knitting a single sock. In the pattern, it also says how much yarn you need. For all sizes, you will need just 1 ball of Scapious Metropolis and either 1 or 2 balls of Scapious Downtown. So grab your yarn, grab your needles, and we will start casting on. So to start the socks, I'm going to take my yarn A, which is color 37 Istanbul for the color combination I'll be using, and my circular needles, and I'm going to be using both circular needle tips in my right hand. I want to hold them really close together like this. And I'm going to take the yarn and have about 20 centimeters or 8 inches of yarn tail, and I'm going to lay the yarn across the top needle, the needle that's furthest away from me, with the ball yarn going to the top here and the yarn tail coming towards me. So like this. And before I start with the cast on, I want to twist these yarns so that the tail is twisted underneath. So now I've taken the ball yarn towards me and the yarn tail is away from me. Insert your thumb and index finger in between those yarns and pull them together with your other fingers so that you can tension.
I don't know if you guys can tell, but I have one hell of fun.
We're going to alternate putting a stitch on the bottom needle and the top needle. The top needle already has a stitch, so I'm going to put a stitch on the bottom needle. Get a good grip on your needles because my bottom needle sometimes wants to flip up like this.
All right, guys. All right, I'm gonna pause. You guys gotta see this. What happened here? I thought Facebook was one of the good guys. What is this?
Moving around. And the closer your needles are together, the neater your cast on is going to be. Okay, so we want a stitch on the bottom needle. We're going to do that with our index finger yarn, and our index finger yarn is going to go around that needle. And it does not really matter if you go around this way or if you go around this way. Just go around the bottom needle. Then another stitch for the top needle. We use our thumb yarn, and also we want to go around the needle. And if this way is easier for you, then do that. If this way is easier, then do that. And put your fingers back in this position. So with the index finger, we go around the bottom needle, and our fingers back to this position. With our thumb yarn, we're going around the top needle and back in this position.
My thread.
If you put on a stitch and your hands are like this, then
I'm
you're
paused.
going to want to twist your hands back like this, because then you can do the next step. Otherwise, you might get a little confused. So you're going to keep alternating the needles. So the bottom needle is next. And if you are confused about which needle gets a stitch, then you kind of release the tension on your yarns, and you see that this one here is looser. So that's the one that I just did. It's on the bottom needle, so now I need a stitch on the top needle. And they always get their yarns from the opposite directions, so the top needle needs a stitch from the thumb yarn now. And there we go. And you always want to finish with a stitch on the bottom needle, because then you have an even stitch count.
So you want to place as many stitches on your needles as it says in the pattern. For my size, that is 10 stitches. So let's see, I have 8 here and I have 8 here. So 9, 9, 10, 10. But please do check the
I
pattern.
always figure
The
that
stitches
the
that you
counting
use
counts most is most
So
in
I
the
finished
beginning
counting
of
all
any
the
project.
stitches. And now I want
If you're
to
making a square, that's it.
please do note that this very last stitch
You
is
just
very
have to pay
loose,
attention.
and
After
that
a
stitch is
while,
made with
you
the
can almost
yarn
feel
tail.
when you're making
If
mistakes.
that last stitch
I don't know how to
for
explain
you
it,
is made
but
with
yeah.
the ball yarn, it doesn't matter very much, but you'll need to do one step differently, and I'll explain that in a little bit. So I want to place my fingers on the back of the stitches here, because otherwise this stitch can fall off. So I want to secure those, and I am turning my work with the needle tips facing to the right. I want to be knitting on what is now the top needle. To do that, I need this needle to come out to the right. So I'm going to be moving it like this, sliding it through the stitches so that the stitches on the bottom here are resting on the cable, and I have enough room now so I can move both needle tips towards each other. And again, that last stitch, which is now the very first stitch that we are going to knit, is very loose, so I'm just going to place that yarn tail in my left hand right here. And I'm going to be knitting that first stitch with the ball yarn. Now, here's the point where I tell you what to do if this last stitch was made with the ball yarn. Then you want to, of course, hold that ball yarn to keep the stitch from falling off, and you want to knit that first stitch only with the yarn tail, because otherwise you just can't knit it. If you try to knit this stitch with the same strand that it was made from, it will just drop back off, and you won't be able to knit it. Okay, so I'm holding the very loose strand in my left hand. I am inserting my right hand needle, and I am looping my yarn around and knitting that first stitch. And it will still be a bit loose, so I'm just going to keep holding on to that strand. The rest of my stitches on this side are twisted. If I zoom in, you can kind of see what I mean. So the right leg of this stitch, if you'll notice that here there's a left leg and here there's a right leg. The right leg is on the other side of the needle, and usually it isn't. So these stitches are twisted, and what that means is that we want to knit it like this instead of like this. So I'm inserting like this and wrapping my yarn around. Now, you may not have twisted stitches here. Whether your stitches are twisted here or not depends on which way you wrapped the yarn around the needle during the cast on. So your stitches may not be twisted here. They may be twisted on the other side, for example. So just know how to recognize a twisted stitch, and that you then need to knit through it like this. If you knit through it like this, it doesn't really matter. It's the very tip of your toes. No one's going to look at that. So just knit all of these stitches. And then when you get to the very last one, your left needle will kind of drop off like that. So then we are at the other side of the work. We have now done half of a round, okay? So we are going to move our work. We're going to rotate it clockwise. We're going to take our needle that is out of the work and slide it back into the stitches. Then the bottom needle, we slide it out. And now we insert into this stitch, take our yarn, make sure it is the ball yarn, and wrap around and knit these stitches. Now these stitches are not twisted for me. Again, they may be twisted for you depending on which way you wrapped your yarn around for the cast on. So I'll be knitting all of these stitches, and then we will have done one complete round.
I'm gonna put the hammer down for now. You can see what I'm doing.
And again, my left hand needle is going to drop off. I'm going to be rotating my work so that this needle tip is facing to the right. the needle that is all the way out like this, I'm going to be sliding it back into the work, and the other needle gets to come out. Now, say you are distracted during this step and you don't know if you've pulled the correct needle out. Then you want to take a look at where your yarn is. And it's a little bit confusing with the tail here right now, but from now on, when I refer to the yarn, I'm referring to the ball yarn. So take a look at where your yarn is. It's on this side. That's where we just knit. That is the most recent stitch that we knit. And because we're knitting in the round, we
First
then
in,
want
last
to move
out.
on to the other needle. So that's where the needle tip needs to be in the stitches. When your toe is complete, you'll get the hang of it. So again, we insert into the first stitch, and now we actually get to do an increase. So how do we make our increases? I do a knit front back increase for sock toes, and that goes like this. So I insert, I wrap around, and I pull through. That's basically a simple knit stitch until now, but then you don't let it drop off the needle, but you insert into the back of the stitch, so like that, and then you wrap around again, and then you've made 2 stitches in one. And we make this increase at 4 points divided across the round. So the first one is on the very first stitch of the round, and then we want to knit until we have 2 stitches left on this side and do the next increase in this stitch. So a knit stitch, but don't finish it, and then insert into the back, wrap the yarn around, and complete. And then you have 1 more knit stitch to do. And the reason why I'm doing this on the very first stitch, and then on the, not the last stitch, but the stitch before that, is to make it symmetrical. So if you look very closely, you can see that there's kind of this bump there. It's almost like a little purl stitch. So I have bump there, and on the other side is there. And if we were to have done this increase on the very last stitch, then the bump would be at the side here. And the way we've done it now means it looks symmetrical. So it's purely cosmetic, but yeah, this is the way I like to do it. So we are at the end of this side, so we rotate our work again. We move this needle into the stitches, and the needle where the yarn is coming from is going out. And we're repeating the increase for this side as well. So I insert, take my yarn, make a knit stitch, and then go into the back and knit another stitch. And then I'm knitting until 2 stitches are left on this side, right? And then doing another knit front back increase and the last stitch. We are going to be doing a lot of increases, but we're going to be alternating knit rounds with increase rounds. So right now we are going to be doing another knit round and then an increase round, and then keep alternating that until you have your number of stitches. But I also want to show you something else now, because
Show us.
a bit of fabric in between your needles, and for me it's usually after the first increase round, then you can kind of already fold
Okay, I'm gonna
split like this. So
rewind that a little bit. Hurry down.
And the idea behind that is that we want to avoid ladders on the side. So you can imagine and you knit stitches there, you knit stitches there, and this is getting longer and longer.
There.
A lot of increases, but we're going to be alternating knit rounds with increase rounds. So right now we are going to be doing another knit round and then an increase round, and then keep alternating that until you have your number of stitches. But I also want to show you something else now, because once you have a bit of fabric in between your needles, and for me it's usually after the first increase round, then you can kind of already fold your work like this so that you see like a mini toe. And the idea behind that is that we want to avoid ladders on the side. So you can imagine that if you're knitting like this and you knit stitches there and you knit stitches there, and this is getting longer and longer, that you're going to create some ladders here, because that is quite a gap between this stitch and the next stitch. So you want to make that gap as small as possible. And I find that it works best if I just try to fold the work, if I try to hold the cable to the left hand needle. So I'm just going to really squish them together, insert my needle into the next stitch, and then just take my yarn and knit those stitches. And I usually keep holding on to that cable until I've knit the first couple of stitches. So let me show you again on the other side. Okay, we turn our work. Oh, right, and for the first 2 rounds, it's easier to look at your work like this and say you rotate it like this. But now, once you're folding it, you can also turn it like this. Might seem a little bit weird at the start, but again, this is a thing that you'll get the hang of. So you'll insert this needle into your stitches, pull the other needle out, and again, I am folding my work. I am squishing that needle, squishing that cable to my left hand needle, inserting my right hand needle into the first stitch, and then grabbing my yarn. And feel free to pull a little bit tighter on the first stitch, just to make sure that you don't get any ladders on the side. And then you keep knitting. So I'm almost at the end of my knit round. So then I do another increase round, then another knit round, and you keep alternating them until you have the number of stitches that is set in your pattern. So for example, I'm going to be knitting until I have 60 stitches. So that means 60 stitches in total. So 30 stitches here and 30 stitches there. I often get the question, how do you know if you've just done an increase round or if you've just done a plain knit round? And the key to that is that you want to look at those bumps that we create during the increases. And if that bump is directly below the needle, that means that you've just done an increase round. But if you can see a little knit stitch above it, it means you've just done a knit round. I've just done a knit round, so that means I need to do an increase round now. So let me make that first increase and show you the difference. So see that with my increase that I just made, that bump, that little purl stitch, is really hugging the needle. But on this side, I can really move it downwards and I can see that little V above it. And that's how you know if you've just done an increase round or a knit round.
I knew I was underwater. I just didn't realize I was underwater. If you're stressed about your paper, just get Grammarly. It's free.
I don't need better grammar. I need an A on this essay.
Grammarly can help with that. Just tell it your topic and it'll make an outline.
Nice. Hey, I think that's it.
Welcome to the other side. Download Grammarly for free.
Okay, don't laugh at me. It's still echoing.
So after you reach your number of stitches that is specified in the pattern, you want that to be your total number of stitches. So for me,
okay. Monster. I'm going to try it again to check. I hope there's no echo now. Let's hope. Sorry about that, guys. Everything in life is a learning experience, that's for sure. I'm approaching 50. It doesn't make me useless. It doesn't make me crazy for trying to do something. Everybody loves knitting, or whoever loves knitting should be logging on. I hope it's you. If this is you, then this channel's for you. I love watching people knit as I knit. I don't know, call me crazy, but I find other people watching me knit. When I'm in public transportation, I don't know something. Sometimes it reminds them of their grandparents and stuff like that. We'll see. That.
Stitches. So that means 60 stitches in total. So 30 stitches here, 30 stitches there. I often get the question, how do you know if you've just done an increased round or if you've just done a plain round? And the key to this is that you want to look at those bumps that we create during the increases.
I fixed it. Yay, I think I fixed the problem. How awesome is that? Now you can hear me clearly. All right. Every day, small improvements. Small improvements, everyone, every day. Sip of my monster. I did that so you guys notice that it's not beer. I don't drink. It's been years. Drinking messes up your teeth, vital organs like your liver. I'm not crying over spilled milk though. You pay for everything in life. That's for sure. Okay, told you. God is great. I don't care what anybody else says. God is great. We try every day. We try to do the best we can every day. That's all we can do. I don't know if I mentioned, but this is my fourth scarf already. I'm gonna pause this for a second. I'm knitting these scarves. We're knitting these scarves and we donate it to shelters, homeless shelters, and people in need. But this month I'm trying to do especially well because we met. Please hold. Wow. Uh, yeah. So I forget what I was saying. Just that fast. ADHD, old age, who knows? Pearl. This is all about repeating. Repeat. Oh, I need one of those cameras. I want my third row. 5 feet. 9 rows. Commercials. Sometimes the commercials are good. Sometimes they're not. Goodbye. I'm sorry, guys. It's the little things in life. I love those colors. It's so bright and beautiful. It's the same thing. Remember when I was telling you that when we're knitting, when we're crocheting or when we're knitting, when you look at the very top row, you see a V. I don't know if you can see it. Well, there's a V there. When you turn it, that's where you stick it. So what she's doing is that she takes the ends from each side and matches it up with the other V on the other side. Hence, or therefore, you end up with a sock. You do the same. It's the same principle when you do circular scarves. Anyway, so much time, so much patience. I like seeing. I'm results driven. I can't spend all day on a sock. I could spend all day on a scarf, knowing that it'll keep somebody warm or their necks warm for months. Yes. Socks? No. They disappear. There's a laundry monster. Look, perfect music, finally, from a YouTube commercial. Except for that part. Give me a second. Alright. I'm sorry, guys. Not the best drink in the world for you. Eventually, I'll get to better. Water is the best stuff on the earth, but still. First world problem. I think I'm gonna change colors, guys. This is looking a little too solid for me. It's a beautiful navy blue though. It goes with the hat later, maybe. I'll show you the hat. I didn't make the hat. Mrs. Carroll made the hat. Too cold, too hot. I don't know how you guys do this, but I usually pull off one side and it doesn't look like it's gonna be. I don't like it when it goes around. I like to make sure that it comes from the center. I don't know if you guys can see. Can you see it from the center? See? Straight to the. Alright, let me get a pair of scissors. I guess this is how moist critical, and I'll never feel alone or lonely. Always have an audience. But you know what? In life, you're always gonna have an audience. I don't know if you guys can hear me good. I don't know if I make any sense. But later on, I'll probably end up watching this to see if you guys can hear me good. If anybody is here, thank you. I'm really glad you're here. It's a small world. No one out here is a saint. All right. The commercial. You must know I'm live streaming and I like throw her another commercial. Give her another commercial. I'm gonna tie it here. Okay. Alright. Just making sure you guys. naturally. Pretty. I like it a lot. I wonder if I put it here, if you guys can see it. I love watching the inside get hollowed out. Do you guys like that? I love it. I don't know. It's like a sign of progress. Oh, they go well together. Look. Cool. Is it me or is it just too easy for the person receiving that gift to lose the fair socks? Unravel. I tie it and then leave it in. I don't want anybody coming back to tell me that it got unraveled. I make sure it doesn't happen. We did. Thank you. I love the ancient wall back there. It's beautiful, those flowers. Oh, no sponsor, so I gotta go. Goodbye. Cute baby. Goodbye. How do you keep telling me about Pampers? one thing I wish people knew already knew about me before I did. Hobby Lobby. Yeah, many times. All right, guys, she's beautiful. She has a tattoo. I'm gonna get back to knitting. The gauge of your yarn. Mine is a 5 millimeter. That's okay. It depends on what you like to use sometimes. It's just a little looser. Mine too. Yeah. Mhm. Why? Yeah, she's like the best. I think that's why I wanted to be this part. This is number 4. Which is just a basic knot with a little loop at the end. Length. Clothing. Nope, it doesn't. The baby's not gonna be like, hey, it's only 72 inches long. I always use usually the triple crochet stitch. Ooh. Okay. Alright guys, I'm gonna let you guys go for a little bit. I'll be back on to finish my work. I don't want to let you guys go. I'm addicted to the attention of 25 people. Oh, commercial. Alright, love you, but I gotta go.